When you think about heart trouble, you probably picture something dramatic, right? Something sudden. But what if the biggest threat to your heart isn't dramatic at all? What if it's a quiet little mistake you're making every single night without even realizing it?
Now, that's a pretty intense question. And, it's not mine. It comes from a cardiac surgeon, a guy with over 2 decades of experience actually holding hearts in his hands. And he says, for those of us over 60, the things that trigger major heart events aren't usually bad luck. They're bad habits. So we're going to walk through 5 of the most common and most dangerous of these silent nightly mistakes.
And here's why that quote is so important. As we get older, our body's nighttime autopilot just isn't what it used to be. See, during the day, your heart has all these backup systems ready to go. But at night, it's running on a skeleton crew. That means the margin for error gets a whole lot smaller. What you do in the hour before you turn out the lights can literally set the stage for everything that happens in those quiet, vulnerable hours.
All right, so let's jump right into the first habit. Our surgeon says that this is the one that surprises his patients the most. And it's so simple. It's about what you eat for dinner and when you eat it. We're talking about that big, heavy meal, the pasta, the steak, eaten late in the evening, maybe right before you hit the couch and then head off to bed.
Okay, so what's going on here is basically a war inside your body. On one side, your body is trying to power down for the night. It expects your blood pressure to dip, your heart rate to slow. It's supposed to be recovery time. But that big, late meal, it demands the exact opposite. It's like sounding a 5-alarm fire drill. Your heart has to pump harder, your blood pressure goes up. It's an all-hands-on-deck emergency for your cardiovascular system right at the moment it's supposed to be resting. Doing this once? Okay, but night after night, that's what causes the real wear and tear.
Okay, so let's move on to habit number 2, because this really builds on that idea of nighttime vulnerability. And this is for anyone over 60 who's taking blood pressure medication. You probably think, hey, I take my pill every day, I'm good. But the surgeon is really clear on this. The timing of that pill could be the most important part. A lot of people have never even heard of this term. It's when your blood pressure, instead of taking that healthy dip at night, stays high. Or even worse, it surges. Just think about that for a second. A big pressure spike at 3 in the afternoon is one thing. But a spike at 3 in the morning, when your arteries are supposed to be relaxed and aren't really braced for impact, that's when things can go very wrong. It's a much bigger risk for causing a problem. And this is the key. If you're taking your medication only in the morning, its protective effect might be wearing off by the middle of the night, exactly when you need it most. Big studies like the Hygia chronotherapy trial have shown that for many people, taking that medication in the evening can dramatically reduce cardiac risk. Seriously, this is one of the easiest and maybe most important conversations you can have with your doctor.
All right, habit number 3, snoring. Most of us just write it off as, an annoyance, something your partner complains about. But for a cardiac surgeon, he sees it as a major red flag until it's proven to be harmless. He says it's one of the most overlooked threats to your heart after you turn 60. And this number is exactly why. 3 times the risk. That is a staggering statistic. Because with sleep apnea, you're not just snoring, you're actually stopping breathing. For seconds at a time, your blood oxygen plummets, your brain hits the panic button, and it floods your body with stress hormones. That jolts your heart, spikes your blood pressure, and this can happen dozens, even hundreds of times a night, all while you're asleep. And listen, it's not just about that loud, rumbling snore. Look at this checklist. Waking up with a headache, feeling wiped out even after 8 hours of sleep. These are clues that your body was fighting for air all night long. If any of this sounds familiar, for you or someone you love, please don't just brush it off. Getting checked for sleep apnea isn't just a good idea. It's essential cardiac care. Okay, on to our next 2 habits. And these are going to seem almost, too simple to matter. But they have a surprisingly huge impact on your heart. It all comes down to a glass of water and the temperature in your bedroom. The logic here makes perfect sense. A lot of folks over 60 cut back on liquids at night because, they don't want to be getting up all the time. I get it. But here's the hidden danger. Going to bed even a little dehydrated makes your blood thicker. It's more like ketchup than water. And thicker blood has a much harder time moving through arteries that might already be a bit narrow. That raises the risk of a clot forming during those slow, still hours of the night. And check this out. Your thermostat is basically a control dial for your heart's workload at night. If the room is too warm, your heart has to beat faster to cool you down. Too cold? Your blood vessels constrict to conserve heat, and that drives your blood pressure up. There's a Goldilocks zone, that sweet spot between about 65 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 to 22 Celsius. That's where your heart doesn't have to work extra. It just gets to rest. So we've just talked about 5 different problems, right? It might feel like a lot to worry about, but here's the really good news. This isn't about adding 5 new worries to your list. It's about taking these 5 pieces of information and building one simple, practical evening routine that takes care of all of them at once. And look at how manageable this actually is. You finish your main meal by 7. Around that same time, you have a glass of water and take your meds, after you've talked to your doctor, of course. Then you give yourself an hour or 2 to wind down. Prepare your room, be in bed by 10. Even something as simple as sleeping on your side if you snore can help. See? This isn't some crazy lifestyle overhaul. It's just a few small, incredibly powerful adjustments. I think this is the most important takeaway from our surgeon. All those little habits, the late meal, the snoring you ignore, the pill you take in the morning, they're just the background noise of life. But that noise adds up. And this whole conversation isn't about scaring you. It's about moving you from a place of worry to a place of power, because you now have the information. So let's lock it in with one clear action plan. Number 1, try to finish your main meal by 7 p.m. Give your heart a break. 2, ask your doctor that simple question about evening medication. 3, if you snore, please get it checked out. It's a critical warning. 4, a simple glass of water before bed. And 5, just check that thermostat. Each one of these is like a little investment in your heart's long-term health. So I'll just leave you with this one question. As you listened, which of these 5 things made you think, that's me? Which one can you change starting tonight? Not next month, not next week, tonight. And of course, please remember, this is all to give you information to take to your own doctor. Talk to them before you make any changes, especially with medication. They know your health best. Take good care of that heart. It's worked hard for you every single night of your life. Let's make tonight a little easier on it.